9:07 and the Billings Morning News Talk 95.5. Hello, I am Living Large. Larry Harv is somewhere here in the building as well. This is kind of his relaxing hour. This is when he takes his Q-tips and toothbrush and scrubs up his radio console and things like that. 50 now, a few clouds, more sunshine for now, but some rain showers, some thunderstorms, and 67 today, and low 70s tomorrow, 82 by Friday, looking ahead. And our guest this hour, for as long as I can keep him, is, wait a minute, you should be in bed. Gregg Lamotte from KULR. Shouldn't you be in bed? Get close to that microphone.
How close do I need to get?
There you go. Well, there's the radio voice of Gregg Lamotte, but shouldn't you be in bed? I've got you up early.
Larry, I just want to comment on, that's a really large pen you have there.
Yes, these are huge. These are from a listener. Brought them in for souvenirs.
Do people comment on that often?
Jim and Austin's Barbershop. Yeah, they do. Yeah. Actually, they come in and say, "Wow, he's got big pens in radio."
This is like first grade pens right here.
Yeah, those are uncomfortable to write with, but they sure are an eyesore. It caught your attention. Anyway, so is this early for you as a nightly newscaster?
Yeah, No, I mean not today, but I mean on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. I'm usually up around 7:45 or so.
Because you go to work at what time to KULR?
Noon.
So noon, and then
I get home around 11.
Yeah.
Watch TV for an hour and a half or so, see what's happening in the world, and get entertained, and then go to bed and wake up and do it all over again.
So it's kind of a normal-ish life.
Yeah.
I guess not bad hours.
You know the drill.
Yeah, I've been doing mornings 25 of my 31 years on the air, so I have that routine.
Well, I guess you've gotten used to it then.
Yeah, and I'm sure you get used to your hours as well.
Right.
So Gregg Lamotte, KULR-8's been anchoring here in Billings for how many years?
9 years.
9 years now. It's a long time in Billings, but you're not from Billings. You know.
No, I'm actually from Arlington, Virginia, which is just outside Washington, D.C.
Long way from home.
Well, life's an adventure, you know.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about your adventure because I think recently people have really just learned that there's more to Gregg Lamotte than who we see on TV every night anchoring the newscast on KULR-8, and that is. And I didn't know this either until I saw an old picture of you all over the internet with CNN slugged to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Gregg Lamotte. Wait a minute, that's the O.J. Simpson guy, which we'll talk about if you don't mind, and some other personal stuff.
Well, how personal do you want to get?
Hey, it's my radio show, and I'm controlling all the switches. So that's a good. Well, let me ask you this: married, kids, all that stuff?
Married, and for the second time.
Okay.
First time, 2 kids, a boy and a girl. They live in Los Angeles.
It's pretty nosy, pretty personal, but you don't mind answering it.
No.
Los Angeles. They're
part of the
Los
drill
Angeles. Hanging with us. That's our 4th hour of the show, the Billings Morning News and Talk 95.5. Yeah, we do a 4-hour talk show. Nobody does yourself. Talk 95.5, Billings Morning News, Living Large, and Gregg Lamotte from KULR-8, our guest. OJ, let's get into it. So O.J. Simpson, that was kind of your gig with CNN LA, and tell the story, the short story version of when you were with CNN, and they said, "Hey, Lamotte, go to O.J.'s house." What, really?
Okay, so Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman are killed. Mm-hmm. Bodies discovered in the morning. In the afternoon, it has now been identified that this is the ex-wife of O.J. Simpson. Police have indicated they'd like to talk to O.J. Simpson, but O.J. Simpson's in Chicago. So we find out that Simpson is coming back from Chicago to talk to LAPD. And Simpson goes to the LAPD, spends a few hours there, comes out, and the folks at the Bureau in L.A. say, "Lamotte, go over to O.J. Simpson's house." And I said, "Well, why am I going to his house?" "Well, because that's where he's going back to." And I said, "Well, that's his house. That's where he lives. Why are we, And this was the kind of journalism that I didn't grow up with.
Celebrities and all that.
Just that standing in front of somebody's house kind of routine. It turned my stomach to do that. Yeah. So I go out there and do what I'm told, and I do a live shot, and at the time there was a fellow anchoring named Bernie Shaw.
Heard of Bernie, yeah.
Longtime ABC guy, and came to CNN and was anchoring the evening news. And I tell him, well, O.J. Simpson came to L.A. today. He talked with police. He returned to his home 15 or 20 minutes or so ago, and da-da-da-da, and I told what I knew. To which Bernie Shaw responds, "Well, Gregg, you said that he talked with police and he returned voluntarily. That's correct. He apparently is not a suspect in this gruesome murder." And I said, "That's true. And he has returned home. So tell me, why are you standing in front of his house?" Now, this is on live national television where a respected anchor is asking the idiot standing out in the field in front of somebody's house, why are you standing there? To which I had to respond, well, he's an icon, and I felt like saying, Bernie, because I was told to come out here, just like you're told to sit where you're sitting right here.
Yeah, thanks for the like click on our Facebook page. I mean it. I appreciate it. News Talk 95.5, Billings Morning News. Sunny and 50 and 67 or thereabouts today. Some thunder showers later on. So Bernie Shaw, finish that story real quick.
He told me that his feeling at that time was, this is all about the color of O.J. Simpson's skin. Bernie Shaw was an African-American, is an African-American, and there was something in his gut that told him there's going to be a whole lot of national attention about this because of the color of the man's skin, which, to me, I thought, what's he talking about? It's because he's O.J. Simpson.
Well, with the way you told the story and the way you must have responded on CNN in L.A. With regards to Bernie, it sounded like you were pretty calm. So what we saw on TV wasn't what you were churning inside when the cameras were off. Yeah. It was a whole different story. But
yeah, totally.
I bet you have all kinds of stories like that. Just got to be calm.
You gotta be calm.
Gotta be calm.
But none like that, because nobody's ever put me on the spot like that before.
Right. And I never would have thought of that.
Yeah.
The color of his skin. I never saw, when you told me off the air that story, I'm thinking, well, I don't think that way.
Yeah. I mean, O.J. You have to remember,
Simpson.
it was O.J. Simpson.
Yeah,
it wasn't, he's
Simpson.
a black guy. It was O.J. Simpson. He'd crossed all the lines. He was a national hero.
Jeez.
Hall of Fame football player.
Before the big Bronco chase, I want to go back a little bit. Well, not back, but a different subject, I guess, is you were, a little-known fact, you were a POW, essentially, right?
Well, in 1991, but in the first Gulf War, Iraq went into Kuwait, and everybody knows that for about 7 or 8 months, then President H.W. Bush told Saddam to get out, and if he didn't, he was going to get forced out, and the time came for him to get forced out, and I was there just outside of Kuwait.
Covering
it for CNN, and the attacks went down, and the Iraqis were leaving, and I went into Kuwait and spent a couple of days there reporting on the sights and sounds and what was going on in that city, and then at some point in time, there was fighting going on in southern Iraq, and this involved Iraqis against Iraqis, and other Western journalists apparently had gotten into the country and were able to do some reporting, and I was asked if I'd be able to go in there and, for one day, get what I could and come back and talk about it. And so I said I would, and I took a cameraman, and we got inside Iraq, and then we're driving down this long highway in the middle of the desert, and we look off in the distance and see something, but weren't quite sure what it was, and by the time we figured out what it was, which was an Iraqi checkpoint, it was too late. And so we pulled up to the checkpoint, and the guy says, "Where are you going?" And I said, "We're going to Basra." He goes, "No, you're going to Baghdad." I said, "No, we're not going to Baghdad." He goes, "We're going to Basra." He goes, "No, you're going to Baghdad." And I said, "Sir, we're going to Basra. That's where we're going." He goes, "No, you don't understand. You are going to Baghdad." And I went, "What?" And I said, I think a mistake has been made here. I believe we've driven too far. And we're just going to turn around and go back to Kuwait. And all of a sudden we hear these Kalashnikov machine guns. I came out of the car as fast as I could with my hands in the air.
Going to Baghdad.
In fact, the cameraman was sitting in the passenger seat. And the car, I didn't even put it in park. I jumped out of the car so fast. And the car continued to roll with him sort of down this little incline.
Great.
And these Iraqis were running after the car, and they yanked him out of there, and they put us together and put guns to our heads and told us to walk across the street and told us to go sit down in this ditch. And to which I looked at my cameraman and said, "We're dead." Because what else are they going to do with us in a ditch?
Oh, how scary.
So we sat in the ditch for a while, and then, one thing led to another, and before we knew it, we were in captivity, and we were taken to this place way the heck out in the middle of the desert, and it was like this 4 or 5 room place, and we got together with an Iraqi colonel, and he was very upset with us because we were Americans, and Iraq had just basically lost. And he spent about 8 hours reaming us out about we were child killers and women killers and thought we owned the world and was very upset with the U.S., and to which we were both looking at each other thinking, this guy is so upset. When he finishes, we're finished. Because what else are you going to do with these two guys that you're so upset with?
How frightening was that?
That was pretty darn scary. And
how long were you guys held captive?
5 days.
And what got you out?
Well, at some point in time, they transferred us, I think after 3 days, to this place where there were helicopters and flew us to Baghdad. And lo and behold, there were 40 other journalists who had also been picked up in southern Iraq, who were all being held in this hotel, for lack of a better term. And it was good to see these guys because these were all Western journalists, and there was a comfort in numbers.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And at some point in time, I guess after about a day and a half, they came and rounded us up and took us outside and said, we're sending you to the UN people, and they're going to take you, and then tomorrow you're out of here. You're going to Jordan. So they busted us.
A little bit of relief.
Oh, my Lord.
I know. I can't imagine.
Yeah, it was.
What a story.
Yeah, bizarre story.
News Talk 95.5. More with Gregg Lamotte, our guest from KULR 8. People just waking up going, I knew that voice sounded familiar. That's 51 now in the sunshine. Expect a thunderstorm. Later on today in Billings, about 67, then almost 90 by Saturday looking ahead. News Talk 95.5, Billings Morning News, Live and Large. And Gregg Lamotte, KULR 8 anchor, and 20 years of the O.J. Simpson, the whole O.J. Simpson story, which Gregg Lamotte actually was a CNN reporter. You were the main gazane covering that story. And Harv, co-host / phone screener producer, came in, and something is breaking right now. Your hometown-ish, the Washington Redskins, apparently their name has been...
Well, their name isn't... It's not finished. It's just that the U.S. government has revoked their trademark. So basically what that means is now anybody can use the word Redskins to market anything. So, as a marketing tool, there's no protection for the Washington Redskins on that front. So they'll appeal it. I'm sure it'll be years in court. Lawyers will get nice and fat over the whole thing.
Why does this keep coming up, though? I mean, I was telling Greg off the air that this Redskin issue has come up 3 or 4 times over the last several years, and it dies, and it comes back up. What about the Cleveland Indians and the Kansas City Chiefs?
Well, people want to change those names, too.
I know Greg's thinking, what would they change my skins to?
Skins, I guess.
The Washington Skins? Nah, that's not going to fly either, probably.
Look, I grew up in just outside Washington, D.C. I'm a Washington Redskins fan, or a Washington Skins fan. And nobody that I ever talked to ever said anything about the Redskins being any kind of slur against any race of people. And although in today's day and age, if you're offending somebody, maybe you need to think about it. I don't know.
There's so many. I mean, I jotted down 3. There's probably, I'm missing some, right? Redskins, Indians, Chiefs. And there's,
Well, think of some of the colleges.
They're even...
college teams, too.
They're even including in the people that want this stuff changed, they're even including the Golden State Warriors in that because they believe Warriors indicates American Indians and that they're savages and stuff like that. Warriors could be anything.
And here we are talking about the last several weeks here in Billings, the NDO, the non-discrimination ordinance we're talking about, too. So it kind of relates to that a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
so my sister's a huge Redskins fan, so we'll end the show with Hail to the Redskins.
I like it. Gregg Lamotte, thank you for your time today.
Hey, thank you.
We'll see you on KULR 8, and we'll see you at your big barbecue for the Relay for Life next week. All right. Just before 10, Rush coming up at 10:05 for Harv. I'm Live and Large Larry, and I will see you around town on the Billings Morning News.